And now, The Monty Show on KGO 810.
10:06, KGO 810, The Monty Show with you. 80-80-810, big show as always straight ahead. And I want to start with a story that has dominated the headlines and the conversation around the Bay Area for the last week or so. And it is this story of Charlie, the Staffordshire Terrier. And Charlie came to fame over the summer because he chased a police horse at Crissy Field. And as it turns out, the penalty for chasing that police horse is going to be death, they say. So the simple question is, should Charlie, the Staffordshire Terrier, be put to death? 80-80-810, let's talk about it. Let me tell you the full story, because I think there are a lot of nuances and details that have been confused. And I really think the half-truths in this story are the biggest injustice of all. Let me take you back to the summer. Charlie and his owner are at Crissy Field, the dog park. Not a gated dog park, and there is an area where the dog is allowed to be off the leash. The dog was allowed to be off the leash. Very important that you understand that. So the owner, David, is going to be on the show in 25 minutes. And we're going to talk about these circumstances specifically surrounding this story. But here's how I got it from both David, his attorney, and the other side of it from the media reports. And from what I can understand, this is the truth. David takes his 56-pound Staffordshire Terrier to the dog park. Everything's fine until Charlie the Terrier sees a police horse several hundred feet ahead of him. As the owner tells it, Charlie is a puppy. He's never seen a horse before. So being curious and being a puppy, Charlie races across that 200-foot gap between he and the horse. And when he gets to the horse, he begins gnawing on the police officer's foot. This is a horse with a cop on it. He begins gnawing on the officer's foot in his foot harness. The horse bucks. The officer is thrown and knocked unconscious. Now being spooked by the dog, the horse takes off running. None of what I just said is in question. Those are facts. Here's where things get murky. News media says the horse ran a mile and a half, being chased by this dog, a 56-pound Staffordshire Terrier. Knowing the Crissy Field dog park area and knowing where those stables are, the horse didn't run a mile and a half. I'm guessing it's a half mile that the horse ran back to the stables. From what I understand, an officer on a motorcycle scared the dog away at that point. The horse gets back to the stable where it's discovered that he has wounds on his legs and his stomach from Charlie, the Staffordshire Terrier. Now, the terrier is seized by Animal Care and Control. There's a hearing, and at that hearing, it's determined that Charlie, the Staffordshire Terrier, is a vicious and dangerous dog and must be destroyed. That seems wrong to me, to destroy this dog. But I understand it. David Gizzarelli, the owner of Charlie, the Staffordshire Terrier, told me on the phone this dog has never been violent before. That this dog has been a great dog, has had no problems with him. He also told me he hasn't seen his dog in months. And having talked to Ghizzarelli's attorney, a guy named John Mounier, Mounier tells me that there is a bunch of injustice going on here. He tells me that Animal Care and Control never noticed the dog's owner, David Ghizzarelli, never noticed the owner that they were going to have a hearing to determine the status of this dog. And now, as a result of that hearing, the dog was found to be dangerous and vicious and will be put to sleep. But if that was where this story ended, I'd be okay with it. Reports say, and I did not get a chance to ask Mounier or Ghizzarelli this when I talked to him, but again, the owner's going to be on the show in 15 minutes. Reports say that Ghizzarelli was offered an opportunity to sign the rights to his dog over, and that the dog would then be sent to a sanctuary to live out its natural life, would not be killed. According to reports, Ghizzarelli declined that offer. So the dog is scheduled to be destroyed. So where do you come down on this? 80-810, 80-810, as I talk about the story of a 56-pound Staffordshire Terrier who attacked a police horse and is now scheduled to be put to death. Should this dog be destroyed? Should this dog be euthanized because it attacked this horse? I have a lot of mixed emotions about that. I'm a lifelong dog owner. I've actually owned a pit bull. And I can tell you that a Staffordshire Terrier is very similar to a pit bull. It has roots in the English Bulldog community and was bred as a Staffordshire Terrier to herd cattle. That's what its roots are. So when you're telling me that it's this dog's fault that he attacked that horse, I'm telling you you're wrong. This dog did not do anything that it wasn't bred to do. This dog did exactly what it has known. This dog did what it was born to do. But see, therein lies the problem. Again, I'm a lifelong dog owner. Again, I've owned a pit bull. In fact, to be exact, I owned a pit bull boxer mix. And I know how dogs act. I know that dogs do exactly what dogs do. I know they act the way that they were born and bred to act. So it's not the dog's fault.
Next on the Monty Show.
Coming back, I'm going to tell you who's at fault, and I'm going to tell you why it's imperative that this dog be destroyed. We'll talk about it next on KGO.
1-800-964-1741. Network does not cover all transactions and scope may vary.
Tim Montemayor.
I think about what it means to believe in what you can't see. I think about things like believing in a God that people mock you for.
Saturday and Sunday from 10 till 1 on KGO 810.
You ain't nothing but a hound dog.
Liana Ramos and Lara Starr are producing the show today, being quite creative with their blue suede shoes. Seriously, they are wearing matching shirts today, on accident. It's wonderful. Welcome back to the Monty Show, KGO 810. Talking about Charlie, the Staffordshire Terrier, who's going to be destroyed. Or check that, is scheduled to be destroyed after he chased a police horse through Crissy Field for about half a mile to the police stables. And part of the problem is when he chased the horse bucked its police officer off, knocking him unconscious. And then he nipped at the legs and the belly of the horse. Now a hearing was held, and it was determined the Staffordshire Terrier, Charlie, who's a year and a half at the time and 56 pounds, was vicious and dangerous. I believe the horse is going to be fine from all the reports I've read, so that's not the issue. But I do believe that this dog needs to be destroyed. And here's why. I've done a lot of research over the last 2 days. And what I did is I called the ASPCA and the animal control and care people. Now, as you may imagine, none want to talk on the record because David Gizzarelli, the dog owner, is suing a number of people over this incident. But most agreed that the dog, once it has that feeling and that adrenaline and those hormones, and basically once it tastes that blood in the water, it's over. It is very difficult to bring that dog back from that. That's why I think the dog has to be destroyed. And Gizzarelli, the owner of the dog, will join me in 10 minutes right after the 10:30 news here on KGO. And I want to ask him about that, and I want to ask him how he feels about it. But how do you feel about it? Should this dog be destroyed? And where are you at with it? Are you okay with this dog being destroyed? Do you feel like it's the dog's fault? Is it the owner's fault? Your feelings. Let's get Robert in Santa Cruz. Robert, you're on KGO. Hello.
Hello. How are you?
Good. What's on your mind?
Well, I sadly agree with you. It's too bad that this dog needs to be put down. But we have a world with a certain number of people in it and a certain number of parks. And even if you are visiting a park where that is allowed, you have an American Staffordshire Terrier. And with rank comes responsibility. And he did not take responsibility. And you know how they say certain people take after their dogs. You know, they emulate their dogs. And sometimes that is true with pit bull owners and Staffordshire owners that I've known. That's also not true some of the time. But I bet this guy would sue a horse for getting bit if he could.
I don't know about that.
Well,
I do agree with you that this is a public space and that there are issues of public safety. And let's be honest about what pit bulls and Staffordshire Terriers, which is a very similar breed of dog, what dogs like that are. Pit bulls and Staffordshire Terriers specifically are killing machines. And I don't think I'm painting with a broad brush. Again, understand, I'm a guy who owned a pit bull. I'm very familiar with how these dogs act. I'm very familiar with the way these dogs react in public. And they are the type of dog that is very difficult to control. You're always on the edge. You're always at risk when you have a pit bull or a dog like that. And certainly this Staffordshire Terrier at a year and a half and 56 pounds would have been difficult to control. And then you take that dog and you put him in a public place, and then you take that dog off the leash and let it roam free. You are asking, in my opinion, you're asking for trouble. And again, I'm going to ask this dog's owner that exact question. If he had ever considered that there were control issues with this dog in a public place. And he'll be on the show literally in 10 minutes from now. I mean, that is a serious weapon. That dog, there is a little bit of that dog that is uncontrollable. There's a little bit of that dog that's unpredictable. And so when you are in a place like a park, and Crissy Field, as we all notice, is huge, you never know what you're going to see there. You never know what that dog is going to react to. Now, if he's on a rope, a leash, a chain, you have the perception of control, but those dogs are very strong. So I don't know that you ever really have control. It's very questionable. As we talk about this Staffordshire Terrier who is scheduled to be destroyed after he attacked a police horse. Should he be destroyed? Your thoughts on that? Jay in San Francisco, you're on KGO. Hello.
Hi. Thank you, Monty, for having this show. Bless you. I am just a person who's interested in, and I love creatures. I love pit bulls. I don't have pit bulls, but I've been around a lot of them at Best Friends. They're wonderful creatures. If I may just say, I'll make a couple of quick points. I have been involved as an advocate for Charlie for the past couple of months. I offered to help David when I have a nonprofit animal advocacy group. When one of my board members who lives in Colorado said, Jay, I know you live in San Francisco. I know you're all for the off-leash parks. What about this dog, Charlie? Sadly, David only put his side of the story on the Facebook, which is about 20% of the story.
Mm-hmm.
So I got involved to help save Charlie. Then I don't follow Facebook, but a friend of mine said, Jay, a dog attacked the horse and the poor ranger fell. And I just thought, oh, my God, we have to protect everybody. It's got to be a solution that's the greatest good for all.
Yeah.
And I've been trying to tell David and his attorney this forever. I'm just a person who loves animals, and I have offered to pay for Charlie's sponsorship to Best Friends. My husband and I will pay for his transport. We'll be his sponsor.
But Jay, let me ask you, why has David not given in here?
I don't know, but let me just tell you a couple more points, and then I'll let somebody else talk. David is the one who should be accountable here, not the dog. The dog was just being a dog. David is supposed to fix his pit bull by 6 months old. Sadly, that's the law in San Francisco because of the way things are. ACC is a big friend here. David did not fix him. David was in jail, and ACC came in and rescued his dog. No one would take David's dog. This was the first time Charlie was at ACC.
Mm-hmm.
They fixed Charlie. They gave him vet care. The vet said he didn't think Charlie had ever been to a vet. They did all these things for Charlie, and in good faith, because David convinced them that he was responsible, let Charlie go back to David. Fast forward, this was in June. Fast forward to August. I don't know all the specifics, but generally this is what happened.
Yeah.
All hell breaks loose in Crissy Field. And I said, David, come on. Look, there's more at stake here than just you. There's misconceptions about pit bulls. There's the off-leash cart, the poor ranger, the poor horse.
Jay, how well do you know David?
I've never laid eyes on him. I've just been trying to send him emails to say, look, David, consider the broader landscape. It's not just about you. And I even heard that David was willing to have Charlie destroyed rather than have him go to a rescue. I've been working with ACC and others to get Charlie to an appropriate rescue just to give him a chance to be a regular dog. He was only fixed in June, so hormones were still in his system in August when David let him off the leash. He never should have been let off the leash until he was obedience trained and under voice control.
And I agree with you, Jay, and I hate to cut you short. I'm just out of time, but keep listening because David's going to be on the show here in about 5 minutes. And that was Jay, who is an advocate for Charlie the Pit Bull. This is such a complex story, and I want you to know all the facts. I'm not playing one side or the other. I'm reserving my judgment of David until I talk to the man, and again, he's going to be on the show here in 5 minutes. But it sounds to me like this dog did nothing wrong. Did absolutely nothing wrong. Find me on Facebook and Twitter, The Monty Show, Monty, The Monty Show. I just put a link on my Facebook page to the, quote, Save Charlie Facebook page so you can see the story. And Charlie is this Staffordshire Terrier who is 1.5 years old at the time in August when he attacked a police horse, allegedly, and chased that police horse 1.5 miles, they say. I believe it's more like half a mile. Knowing Crissy Field pretty well, understanding that the horse ran back to its stable, understanding where that stable is, knowing Crissy Field, it's about 1/2 mile. And it just doesn't seem right to me. It doesn't seem right to me that this dog was off the leash, and that's what I'm struggling with. I love dogs so much. And if you follow me on Instagram, you know I love my dog. I take a ton of pictures of my dog on Instagram. And if you want to follow me, it's the same as my Twitter and Facebook, The Monty Show. Monty, The Monty Show. You know how much I love my dog. And to think that my dog could be in this position really is hard for me to comprehend. Because I don't believe, when I owned my pit bull, I almost never, and I can't say never, I almost never allowed him off his leash. Never. Because they're just a little bit crazy. That's the way bulls are. They're just a little bit crazy. So what do you think? 80-80-810. Should Charlie the Staffordshire Terrier be put down? Don't go anywhere. At 10:30, it's time to get you a news update right here on KGO. And after that, David Ghizzarelli, the owner of this pit bull Staffordshire Terrier, is going to be on the show. And I'm going to ask him why he took him off the leash. I'm going to ask him why he didn't get him neutered. That's next. But now, John Kessler's live in the KGO newsroom with an update for you. Hi, John. 10:36, KGO 810, The Monty Show with you. Talking about Charlie, the Staffordshire Terrier, who is scheduled to be destroyed. And a lot of people are painting his owner as somebody who's stubborn and irresponsible. And I'm not sure that's the truth. So I've invited David Ghizzarelli on the show, and he joins me now on KGO 810. David, let me ask you point blank. Are you a responsible dog owner?
Tim, good morning, and I want to say hello to all your listeners and to all the dog lovers all over the world, including New Zealand, Australia, Brazil, the UK, Russia, South America, and the United States. Can you please repeat your question? Sir?
Well, now that we've got the world included, are you, David, a responsible dog owner?
To my knowledge, yes.
You believe that you are? Okay.
And I'm a responsible dog owner because on the day of the incident, I was out letting my dog be free and be healthy and you know, showing my love to my dog. And I was doing what about 15 or 20 other responsible dog owners were doing on that day out on Chrissy Field, which was letting their dog run free in an area that was designated for off-leash dogs.
Let me ask you a couple of questions that have come up because I think they're important. From what I understand, you did not have your dog neutered. Is that correct?
You know, this is a moot point, Tim, because, you know, in regards to this case, Charlie was neutered at the time.
How
okay?
was, but I don't think, David, I can't agree with you that it was a moot point because as somebody who's owned pit bulls and as somebody who's a dog owner, I know that in a dog of this caliber, and when I say this caliber, this dog is a powerful, strong, this dog is possessive of his territory. And to me, when you have a dog like this that's 56 pounds, I think it's almost a prerequisite to bringing that dog home for the first time that you have it neutered. That's my opinion. So when you say it's moot to the situation, from what I understand, the dog was neutered in July, and this incident happened in August. And a lot of people feel like that's not enough time to get the hormones out of his system to kind of tame him and bring him down a level.
I understand what you're saying. But, you know, I also want to point out that, you know, this is a breed-specific legislation, okay? If my dog was a poodle and he was brought into ACC, I would not have had to have him neutered, okay? They would have released him to me. They would not have gave me any hassle. If my dog was a Chihuahua, he would not have had to be neutered. This is a breed-specific city ordinance. It is not a state law.
Do you understand that, though, David? Because we visit with David Ghizzarelli. He's the owner of Charlie, the Staffordshire Terrier, that is scheduled to be destroyed after he chased and bit a horse. Do you understand why this breed and pit bulls and these larger dogs, do you understand why it's mandatory to have them neutered?
I think I understand the concern, but I actually don't understand, you know, the discrimination on these types of dogs, okay?
When you say
poodle could have
discrimination,
chased that
what does that
horse.
mean?
A chihuahua could have chased that horse. All dogs have teeth. All dogs are strong. All dogs have a desire to protect their owners.
David, your dog chased a horse half a mile, and your dog is 56 pounds, and your dog has a very specific set of genetics, whether it is the pressure of his bite, whether that might be the aggression with which he acts when he is in the state that he was in, because when they are in that euphoric state, David, they don't have control like a Chihuahua has. They don't have control like a poodle has. So when you say that this is discrimination, I'm curious, how is it discrimination when your specific breed, Staffordshire Terriers, have the characteristics of doing exactly what your dog did? How is that discrimination?
Simply because you're talking about traits of all dogs. You know, you're trying to discriminate against Charlie and saying, you know, Charlie is a American Staffordshire Terrier who is a killing machine. Okay,
Yeah.
That is
Yes.
not true. All dogs have teeth. All dogs are capable of harm.
I agree with that. As we visit with David Gizzarelli, he owns the Staffordshire Terrier Charlie, who is scheduled to be destroyed. And I don't want to get too far away from this because I think this is a point that is very important. I say that your dog is a killing machine because when it was in the state that it was in, and I'm not sure that you understand this, your dog, when it's lying on the floor playing with you, is not the same dog who chased that horse half a mile. He's not the same dog that bit that horse on the legs and on the belly. He's not the same dog that was evaluated and said to be dangerous and vicious. That's not the same dog who rolls around on your living room floor. You understand that.
I want to point out something to you.
No.
Tim,
Do you understand that that's not the same dog, David?
I don't understand that, and I
Your
disagree
dog,
with you, Tim.
but so you don't see that your dog gets into, as an owner of a pit bull Staffordshire Terrier type dog, this is a very important point. Your dog puts itself into a different state. The reason I believe, David, that your dog should be destroyed is because when it gets that taste of blood and when it gets that feeling of adrenaline, it's very hard for that dog not to crave that. And your dog put itself into a different mental place when it was chasing that horse half a mile.
Well, I appreciate your opinion, Tim, but I disagree with you.
And that's
Sorry.
okay. So let me ask you this. When you have this dog now, you haven't seen this dog in what, 4.5 months it's been since it was taken into custody. Where are you at? What's the timeline for Charlie?
Well, that's correct, and this has been, horribly painful for Charlie, for me, for Charlie's family, and for all the people that love Charlie all over the world. Charlie's been in this 8x4 cage for 4.5 months, and I can't even visit him. And I want to tell you something about ACC that hasn't been discussed publicly. And in response to the lady that called in earlier that was defending ACC, saying that they're like this loving dog organization and they, help dogs. There's a document on the record that is evidence of ACC trying to cover up a dangerous situation where my dog in June, when he was neutered, was at ACC.
Mm-hmm. Why was he at
happened,
ACC?
I will discuss that, but I want to finish my point.
Mm-hmm.
So Charlie was in ACC, and a staff is trying to, examine him, and Charlie gives a small lunge or something to the staff.
Yeah.
Well, you know what they do? They write in the staff record, please do not inform owner of attempt to bite. Okay? This is prior to the horse incident. Had I known that my dog was trying to bite someone, many safeguards could have been taken. They covered this up.
Well, come on. I hear what you're saying. I hear what you're saying. As we visit with David Gizzarelli, he's the owner of Charlie, the 56-pound Staffordshire Terrier who attacked a horse at Crissy Field. But so you were, from what I understand, you were incarcerated. You had been arrested. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And the dog was seized. And at the time that the dog was seized while you were in jail, they neutered the dog.
Correct.
Okay.
This was in June, not July.
Okay, so that was in June. So you take the dog, and you're telling me that this dog had never been violent, had never snapped, barked, bitten, chased, anything that you had ever seen?
Listen, me and my girlfriend frequent Union Street, downtown, the Mission, all the parks, and all our friends, all the people that have come across Charlie know that Charlie is the most beautiful, sweet, loving dog that you have ever met.
Okay, so, but again, I'm asking you a direct question. I'm asking you, has the dog ever barked, bitten, snapped, attacked, gone after anything before this horse?
The answer to your question, Tim, is no.
Never, not one time. Okay, well, David, it's an important point. As we visit with David Gizzarelli, he owns Charlie, the Staffordshire Terrier. Man, I'm trying to just get the story out here, and I just want to be brutally honest with you. It seems to me that you have an agenda here, and I understand what that agenda is. You want your dog back. But I don't believe, David, that you're a responsible dog owner. And I'm not coming after you or attacking you. I'm just telling you, is it true that somebody offered, that ACC offered to give your dog, if you'd sign your dog away, that they would give it to a rescue?
The details on that are a little vague. I first want to point out that we have been making offers to the ACC and to the city for 5 months, and they've rejected everything.
Because I don't think you're not in the position to make an offer.
Now that we are suing in federal court, they're trying to put all the responsibility and blame in my court. They're trying to say, oh, David has a decision now. We don't want to kill Charlie, even though they've ordered him destroyed. They're trying to say, oh, we don't want to kill Charlie now. We're just waiting for the owner to come up with a decision and to save Charlie. Well, that's bull.
Did they offer you the opportunity to send your dog to a sanctuary, to a safe haven where the dog would not be destroyed? He would live the rest of his natural life out in freedom. Did they offer you that, and did you turn it down?
They offered me to sign over my dog, and that's it.
So they never offered. They never said, "Hey, sign your dog over, and we'll send it to a sanctuary." Because I was told, and I'm just saying, I was told by an ACC source that you were offered to sign your rights over, and that the dog would be sent to a sanctuary. Those are the words the gentleman used.
Those were not the details of the offer. The offer sent me a form to sign and said, "Here, sign this, and this will be over."
Okay.
That's what the offer was.
And you turned that offer down?
Absolutely.
Okay. If somebody offers, has
shown that they're capable of my dog's best interest.
If somebody offers to take your dog to a sanctuary where it will not be killed, and Charlie will be able to live the rest of his natural life in freedom, are you willing to do that?
Well, that's not true either. I mean,
David, if somebody offers to take the dog to a sanctuary.
Let me answer your question. A sanctuary is not a place where dogs can roam free and live a normal life. Many of these sanctuaries and rescues are caged, okay? There's dogs in cages waiting to be adopted. You know, they get out of the cage, they get put back in the cage. This is not what I want for my dog. I want my dog to be returned home with his loving family and, you know, all his rights restored.
As somebody who spends 99% of my time in the city and county of San Francisco, I don't want you to have your dog back, David.
Why is that?
Because you're irresponsible, bro. You had your 56-pound dog off a leash at Crissy Field. You told me yesterday on the phone he had never seen a horse, right? That's what you said to me. He had never seen a horse. So when you take him out in public and he sees a mounted horse, and I got to tell you, I've seen mounted patrol in the Crissy Field area often. Okay? To me, you had a responsibility to me and every other San Franciscan to have that dog on a leash. And you had a responsibility to get it neutered because you weren't mating the dog.
There is no law that says I have to have Charlie on a leash. And Charlie was in an off-leash area. There is no law.
David. Come on.
You're calling me an irresponsible owner.
Your dog is 56 pounds. I didn't say you broke a law.
There is no law that says I have to have my dog on a leash.
Oh, David, come on. I'm not saying you broke a law. I'm not saying you should go to jail, okay? But if your dog is put down, I want you to be very clear about this. If your dog is put down, the blood is on your hands, my friend. That is your doing.
I'm not accepting that. I'm not accepting that at all.
And I understand that.
This is a city tactic, okay?
No, it's not. No, it's not, David. There's no conspiracy against you. There's no conspiracy against you. Guy,
There
you took a
absolutely is.
56-pound Staffordshire Terrier into a public park, off a leash, and he attacks a massive horse. It's not like he's 56 pounds and the horse is 60 pounds. This is a horse. This is a police horse, a massive horse.
I understand your point,
He
Tim.
chased it half a mile.
Horse owners themselves have said it's suicide to ride a horse into a field with off-leash dogs.
Hey,
the responsibility
I don't even
wasn't mine. It was
disagree
the
with that.
officers.
That's where you and I disagree. And, David, I'm up against the clock. I hate to cut you short. I want to keep in touch with you, and I wish you the best of luck, and I hope Charlie is spared here. But I'm begging you to give this dog up. Give him up. Let him go to a sanctuary, David.
Thank you for your care and concern, sir.
All right, David Ghizzarelli, the owner of Charlie. Let's come back and talk about it. 80-810. My heart is absolutely bleeding for this dog, and hearing David right there didn't do it any better. We'll talk about it next on KGO. Welcome back to the Monty Show, KGO 810. I'm really upset, honestly. I'm not angry. I'm just heartbroken for this dog. Talking about Charlie, the now 1 year and 9-month-old Staffordshire Terrier who attacked and chased a horse through Crissy Field. I just had his owner, David Ghizzarelli, on the show, and as many of you on Twitter, and I'm getting all of your emails and your Facebooks, David did not make himself look very good here. I think that it is very clear that this dog did nothing wrong. The dog is not at fault here. The dog did what the dog does. That's what Pit Bull and Staffordshire Terriers do. They were bred, and again, this is not my opinion, it's fact, that Staffordshire Terriers were bred to herd cattle. So chasing a large horse should not be considered uncharacteristic of this dog. It breaks my heart that this dog will likely be destroyed because its owner believes there's a conspiracy by the city of San Francisco against him. This owner told me point blank on the show moments ago that he'd done nothing wrong. And let me be very specific about this because I'm getting a lot of messages about how I'm being biased against pit bulls and Staffordshire Terriers, and one person said Rottweilers and Doberman Pinschers. And listen, I'm talking specifically about pit bulls and Staffordshire Terriers. They're very similar dogs. These dogs have a long history of being violent. These dogs have a long history of kicking themselves into another gear and doing things like chasing a horse half a mile. If you just Google search, do a Google News search on Staffordshire Terrier, you will find a laundry list of incidents very similar to this, where it attacks something or someone. These dogs are dangerous. Let's just be honest about it. When you own a pit bull, as I have, when you own a pit bull, you can't predict what they're going to do. You can't. I love dogs. I love my dog with all of my heart and soul. Not exaggerating. I love my dog. To think that my dog could be in a kennel at Animal Care and Control for 4 months because I refused to take action, I couldn't live with that. And this guy, in my opinion, really damaged himself. Really damaged himself. Let's get your calls here. 80-80-810, Shelley in Kalamazoo, Michigan. You're on KGO. Hello.
Oh, Monty, you have me so fiery mad over here. I cannot believe some of the comments that you have made.
Okay, like what?
Like these are killing machines? Are you serious? Have you ever even done any kind of research on these dogs?
I owned a pit bull.
And I have 2 currently in my home, and I have rescued for years. These dogs are not killing machines, and I am not sticking up for David because I don't know all of the details. Mm-hmm. But the comments that you have made on this radio show about these wonderful creatures have set them back so far. There are millions dying every year in shelters.
Let me ask you a
and
question.
attitudes like yours
Have you
are
ever...
the ones that continue to sentence them to death? How dare you make such a strong comment?
Have you ever seen a pit bull? And if you've worked with them as much as you have, I'm sure you have. Have you ever seen a pit bull in that heightened state? In that state where they're chasing a horse half a mile? Have you ever seen a pit bull in a state where it's angry and agitated? Have you ever seen? Let me ask you. Have you ever?
For you to classify them as a killing machine?
Yeah, because you know why? Every pit bull is capable of that. Every pit bull has that inside of them.
Do you know that in the American temperament test, that a pit bull passes at a rate on an average of 82.6%?
And that's great news.
The average passing rate for 121 of the other breeds in this test is 77%.
That's great news, but you can't refute the fact that every single one of these dogs has that ability inside of them, and you never know when it's coming out. And don't say it's like every other dog, because it's not. It's not. You're being, in my opinion, you're being biased. You're being biased. No, I haven't. I'm sorry, Shelley, and you may feel that way, and I appreciate that you love these animals, but for you to sit here and say that a pit bull's temperament is just like every other one, that's what's irresponsible.